Shabbat Shalom. Welcome to STI Suomi Torah International Weekly Torah reading. We are reading Deuteronomy chapter 16, verse 18 to chapter 21, verse 9. Our readers are today from Chris, from the Scheduling, and James and Lee from the Fiery Faith Ministries. Let's begin.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Looking forward to the fellowship and the words that Yah will show us today. Let's first start with a prayer and we will get on into our portion. Heavenly Father, thank you for this time that you've set apart for us, this Sabbath day, the day of rest, a sign between you and your children. We just want to honor it and please you. Show this example to others and allow them to see the blessing that is within this day. We just lift up those currently in danger, in difficult times, whether it be fires or storms and hurricanes, persecution, whatever it may be. We just ask that you protect them, hide them under your wing, that you will give them safety and shelter, and that they will look to you in faith and know that you are there with them and nothing will be against them. Speak through us this day. Let us share this message as you see fit. That may it be scattered across the four corners to help open eyes and ears. What a blessing it is to share your word, your Son made flesh, the Word made flesh. In your name, Yahushua HaMashiach, amen. All right, so we are going to start in Deuteronomy 16, starting in verse 18. Judges and officers shall you make you in all your gates, which Yahweh Eloheka gives you throughout your tribes. And they shall judge the people with just judgment. You shall not wrest judgment. You shall not respect persons, neither take a gift, for a gift blinds the eyes of the wise and perverts the words of the righteous. That which is altogether just shall you follow, that you may live and inherit the land which Yahweh Eloheka gives you. You shall not plant an Asherah pole of any trees near unto the altar of Yahweh Eloheka, which you shall make. Neither shall you set up any image which Yahweh Eloheka hates. It's very important that the judges that were chosen and appointed this duty were righteous, that were willing to stand for the truth, that they were not swayed by bribes, other people's opinions. You know, almost like the Hasatan we know is that whispering serpent in our ear that can easily sway our judgment or our perception on someone else. Lee broke down a word yesterday in our study, the word judge, and it consists of the letter Shin, Pev, and Tet. That is the paleo. So what she was seeing in this word judge was destroy the words of the snake. It is so important that we don't let these whispering lies, these whispering words of the adversary manipulate our mind. It's very easy, and we have to be careful. We have to use discernment, have to use the Ruach HaKodesh, allow him to guide us and be our advocate in these times. When we look at the word judge, in Hebrew, it is shafat, and we see in Strong's it's H8199. It can mean to pronounce a sentence for or against someone, by implication to vindicate or to punish, by extension to govern. So it's important that these judges are sticking to what is true and right, because not only can they defend somebody, but they can also condemn someone. And we can ultimately do the same even if it's just with our words or in our mind, our heart. We are to love our neighbor as ourselves. And ultimately, Yahweh, our Elohim, is the one and only judge. And I love the verse out of James 4:11. It's important for us to all remember. Speak not evil of one another, brethren. He that speaks evil of his brother and judges his brother speaks evil of the Torah and judges the Torah. But if you judge the Torah, you are not a doer of the Torah, but a judge. And then, of course, here at the end of chapter 16, mentioning not to plant an Asherah pole near the altar of Yahweh, where Yahweh has chosen his name to be sacred. We don't want it to be defiled by worship of false Elohim, those lowercase gods. We still need to take that to heart today. Don't mix and mingle with the things of the world, the wickedness. I think maybe even more than it was back then. It's very camouflaged and kind of hidden away, maybe portrayed as good, but really its roots are wicked, based in paganism. So we need that discernment and wisdom from the word. The word will guide us and show us the truth. So it is important to always stick to the word, to test everything by the word. If you can't find it in the word, we really don't need to have anything to do with it. All right, so let's get on into chapter 17. You shall not sacrifice unto Yahweh Eloheka any bullock or sheep wherein is blemish, or any evil favoredness, for that is an abomination unto Yahweh Eloheka. If there be found among you within any of your gates, which Yahweh Eloheka gives you, man or woman, that has wrought wickedness in the sight of Yahweh Eloheka, in transgressing his covenant, and has gone and served other Elohim, and worshipped them, either the sun or moon, or any of the host of heaven, which I have not commanded, and it be told you, and you have heard of it, and inquired diligently, and behold, it be true, and this thing certain, that such abomination is wrought in Yasharel, then shall you bring forth that man or that woman which have committed that wicked thing unto your gates, even that man or that woman, and shall stone them with stones till they die. At the mouth of 2 witnesses or 3 witnesses shall he that is worthy of death be put to death. But at the mouth of 1 witness he shall not be put to death. The hands of the witnesses shall be first upon him to put him to death, and afterward the hands of all the people. So you shall put the evil away from among you. I think this right here, we can see Messiah himself following these rules here. When the woman caught in adultery and they are wanting to stone her to death, ultimately, he knew that there were not enough witnesses to prove her guilty. And of course, we see throughout the Old Testament, Yahweh does command, people to be put to death if they are teaching, walking in wickedness, because ultimately it needed to be done away with. It could be spread very contagiously. And so we see here, Messiah says, if you be without sin, you can cast the first stone. But nobody was able to do that. And I think that was one of the renewing of the old covenant that we see here with Messiah. He did away with that in a way where, of course, no one is without sin. So we would not be able to cast that stone upon another. That's what comes to mind when I read this verse here.
Yeah, there's one other thing that I'd like to mention is the fact that he says the man who is witnessing throws the first stone. In other words, if you witness negatively against somebody, you're the one who's supposed to throw the first stone. Now that's quite a weighty task, if you like, for the person who witnesses against somebody. So in other words, you will be held more accountable if you had to do that. In other words, you're not going to bring false witness because you know that you're going to have to throw the first stone. It's easy for a modern day system. You can falsely accuse somebody and put them in a cell for 10 years before they are put to death by somebody that you don't even know, and your conscience is so seared by that stage you don't even care. But in those days it was pretty real. So the judgment comes with a little bit more, and I wouldn't say at always, but I certainly think most times with a little bit more accountability and reality, you real in it. You're part of the judgment. So I think that's also quite an indictment upon yourself to get it right. Right?
That is a great point. We have to be careful with our words because just like Messiah said, if you hate someone in your heart, you have committed murder. If you have lusted after someone in your heart, you have committed adultery. It's not just the physical act anymore. It's within the heart, within the mind. And so our words, they can murder someone's character if we're bearing false witness against them. We have to really hold our tongue because there is so much power within the tongue, whether it be love or death, life or death. And I really love in the verse here, you shall not sacrifice unto Yahweh Eloheka any bullock, sheep, wherein is blemish. Yahweh wants our best. He doesn't want our second best, third, or fourth best. He wants our best each and every time. And that's something that many people probably struggle with because we want to give ourselves the best. We're greedy and selfish. And so to give Yahweh our best is ultimately a sacrifice. It's obedience. It's what he desires, what he requires of us. All right. Verse 8. If there arise a matter too hard for you in judgment, between blood and blood, between plea and plea, and between stroke and stroke, being matters of controversy within your gates, then shall you arise and get you up into the place which Yahweh Eloheka has chose. And you shall come unto the priest, the Levaim, and unto the judge that shall be in those days, and inquire, and they shall show you the sentence of judgment. And you shall do according to the sentence which they of that place, which Yahweh shall choose, shall show you. And you shall guard to do according to all that they inform you, according to the sentence of the Torah, which they shall teach you, and according to the judgment which they shall tell you. You shall do. You shall not decline from the sentence which they shall show you, to the right hand, nor to the left. And the man that will do presumptuously, and will not hearken unto the priest that stands to minister there before Yahweh Eloheka, or unto the judge, even that man shall die. And you shall put away the evil from Yasharel. And all the people shall hear and fear, and do no more presumptuously. When you are come into the land which Yahweh Eloheka gives you, and shall possess it, and shall dwell therein, and shall say, I will set a king over me, like as all the nations that are about me. You shall in any wise set him king over you, whom Yahweh Eloheka shall choose, one from among your brethren, shall you set king over you. You may not set a stranger over you, which is not your brother. But he shall not multiply horses to himself, nor cause the people to return to Mitzrayim, to the end that he should multiply horses. For as much as Yahweh has said unto you, ye shall henceforth return no more that way. Neither shall he multiply women to himself, that his heart turn not away. Neither shall he greatly multiply to himself silver and gold. And it shall be when he sits upon the throne of his kingdom, that he shall write him a copy of this Torah in a sefer, out of that which is before the priest of Leviim. And it shall be, and he shall read therein all the days of his life, that he may learn to fear Yahweh Eloheka, to guard all the words of this Torah and these statutes, to do them, that his heart be not lifted up above his brethren, that he turn not aside from the commandment to the right hand or to the left, to the end that he may prolong his days in his kingdom, he and his children in the midst of Yasharel. Can't turn to the left or to the right. We've got to stay focused on the straight and narrow path. And we're to continue that, teaching our children, teaching our family and friends, the stranger, whoever it may be, to be bold and willing to share the truth, even if it is offensive. Many people will be offended because they don't want to hear the truth. It will ultimately shine a light on their sins, on their life. Maybe it's not pleasing to Yahweh. And so many people will not want to hear that. And that's why we get a lot of throwback when we do speak the truth. It's not always easy, but it is commanded. It's part of our narrow path walk. Right. Chapter 18. The priest, the Leviim, and all the tribe of Levi shall have no part nor inheritance with Yasharel. They shall eat the offerings of Yahweh made by fire and his inheritance. Therefore shall they have no inheritance among their brethren. Yahweh is their inheritance, as he has said unto them. And this shall be the priest due from the people, and from them that offer a sacrifice, whether it be ox or sheep. And they shall give unto the priest the shoulder, and the 2 cheeks, and the maw, the first fruit also of your grain, of your wine, and of your oil, and the first of the fleece of your sheep shall you give him. For Yahweh Eloheka has chosen him out of all your tribes to stand to minister in the name of Yahweh. Let him and his sons forever. And if the Leviim come from any of your gates out of all Yasharel, where he sojourned, and come with all the desire of his mind unto the place which Yahweh shall choose, then he shall minister in the name of Yahweh Eloheu, as all his brethren, the Leviim, do, which stand before Yahweh. They shall have like portions to eat, beside that which comes of the sale of his patrimony. When you are come into the land which Yahweh Eloheka gives you, you shall not learn to do after the abominations of those nations. There shall not be found among you anyone that makes his son or his daughter to pass through the fire, or that uses divination, or one that practices sorcery, or an enchanter, or a witch, or a charmer, or a consulter with familiar spirits, or a wizard, or a necromancer. For all that do these things are an abomination unto Yahweh, And because of these abominations, Yahweh Eloheka drives them out from before you. You shall be perfect with Yahweh Eloheka. For these nations which you shall possess hearkened unto sorcerers and unto diviners, but as for you, Yahweh Eloheka has not suffered you so to do. Yahweh Eloheka will raise up unto you a prophet from the midst of you, of your brethren, like unto me. Unto him ye shall hearken, according to all that you desired of Yahweh Eloheka in Horeb, in the day of the assembly, saying, Let me not hear again the voice of Yahweh Elohai, neither let me see this great fire any more, that I die not. And Yahweh said unto me, They have well spoken, that which they have spoken. I will raise them up a prophet from among their brethren, like unto you. I will put my words in his mouth, and he shall speak unto them all that I shall command him. And it shall come to pass that whosoever will not hearken unto my words, which he shall speak in my name, I will require it of him. But the prophet which shall presume to speak a word in my name, which I have not commanded him to speak, or that shall speak in the name of other Elohim, even that prophet shall die. And if you say in your heart, How shall we know the word which Yahweh has not spoken? When a prophet speaks in the name of Yahweh, if the thing follow not, nor come to pass, that is the thing which Yahweh has not spoken, but the prophet has spoken it presumptuously. You shall not be afraid of him. This is really the first time we see, I believe, in all of the Torah, where Moshe considers himself a prophet. And also, we see the foreshadowing of our Messiah being raised up as one coming from one of these tribes here. And there's so many similarities between Moshe and our Messiah, Yahusha. I've looked at lists before. There's probably 100 different connections where essentially what Moshe went through or did and experienced, the same could be said of our Messiah. So, we see a wonderful connection within the Old Testament and the New Testament. Things have repeated and have been foreshadowed.
Right. And here in verse 9 of 18, it says, When you come into the land which Yahweh Eloheka gives you, you shall not learn to do after the abomination of those nations. Now, if we go a little bit back for a couple of weeks in what we read, it's in Deuteronomy 9 and verse 5. It's not for your righteousness or for the uprightness of your heart do you go to possess their land, but for the wickedness of these nations Yahweh Eloheka drives them out from before you, that he may perform at the word which Yahweh swore unto your fathers, Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov. And it's interesting here, he says, don't practice the sorcery, don't use divination, don't pass your children through the fire, don't be a charmer, a consulter with familiar spirits, or a wizard or a necromancer. Because these are the abominations that Yahweh chased the nations before you out of the land for your sake. Not because you were righteous, but because they were unrighteous. So, that's something to really think about, I think. The unrighteousness, don't be partakers of that, because there's a detrimental side to that, which drives you into a position where you might lose your position in the world, if you like. So yeah, that's, I think, part of what we have to live in to have his protection, as you prayed earlier on, James. You know, how are we protected, and how are we going to stand apart from the rest of the world in these times and in the times to come? I think that's because we do not follow after the things of this world. We strive to live in the Word. We pray that we have the grace for the Word to change us from within, so that we will not be part of the shown up people, if you like, or the shamed people, but part of the blessing of Yah.
And we can't sit here and think that witchcraft isn't still going on today. It may have been replaced with a different word, a different idea, but we can see witchcraft is a very broad word that covers all of these different abominations.
Right.
We have to be very discerning, because we see witchcraft even within our children's television shows, Disney movies, Harry Potter. You know, it has been made to be portrayed as a fun and harmless thing, ultimately causing us to be desensitized to the idea. And we know that these are considered abominations. They are not the commandments of Yahweh. So ultimately, there will be a curse upon these acts. The only way to receive the blessing of Yahweh is to obey his commandments. And these are not part of those.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, you know, if you look at modern day architecture, and you look at the churches, and you look at where the places of worship have been happening, and then you look at the steeples, you look at the tower bells, and so on. I mean, that's exactly what you were saying here. Don't put your Asherah pole next to the place of worship. Well, isn't that also a curse and an abomination? Isn't that also a place where the wool have been pulled over the eyes, if you like, of the sheep? Judy?
I just wanted to mention that in 1 Samuel 15:23, it also says, for rebellion is as the sin of witchcraft, and stubbornness is as iniquity and adultery, because you have rejected the word of Yahweh, he has also rejected you from being king. So anyway, we don't want to be rebellious.
Absolutely. Yeah. We
Yeah,
pray
is
that
a great
Yah guards
word.
our heart. Right? Hey, James.
Rebellion is a word that sums it all up. You know, if you're not following the commandments of Yah, you're being rebellious. We can basically group all of those abominations into the word rebellious. And I was going to say to your comment, Chris, on the Asherah poles, it's sadly ironic that that's how we identify most churches today, is by the Asherah pole on the very top, the steeple, you know, maybe the cross as well. But unfortunately, most churches use that symbolism as a marker of the building itself. And if that is supposed to be sacred, holy ground for the Father, they're really counteracting that, in my opinion, by having that Asherah pole where his name is supposed to be.
Amen. 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 Okay, so Deuteronomy 19. When Yahweh Eloheka has cut off the nations whose land Yahweh Eloheka gives you, and you succeed them and dwell in their cities and in their houses, you shall separate 3 cities for you in the midst of your land. Yahweh Eloheka gives you to possess it. You shall prepare a way and divide at the coasts of your land, which Yahweh Eloheka gives you to inherit, into 3 parts, that every slayer may flee thither. And this is the case of the slayer which shall flee thither, that he may live. Whosoever killeth his neighbor ignorantly, whom he hated not in the time past, as when a man goes into the wood with his neighbor to hew wood, and his hand fletches a stroke with an axe to cut down a tree, and the head slips from the hill and lights upon his neighbor, that he die. He shall flee unto one of those cities and live, lest the avenger of blood pursue the slayer while his heart is hot, and overtake him, because the way is long, and he slay him, whereas he was not worthy of death, inasmuch as he hated him not in the time past. Wherefore I command you, saying, you shall separate these 3 cities for you. And if Yahweh Eloheka enlarge at your coasts, as he has sworn unto your fathers, and give you all the land which he promised to give to your fathers, if you shall guard these commandments and do them, which I command you this day, to love Yahweh Eloheka, and to walk ever in his ways, then you shall add 3 cities more for you, besides these 3, that innocent blood be not shed in your land, which Yahweh Eloheka gives you for inheritance, and so blood be upon you. If any man hate his neighbor, and lie in wait for him, and rise up against him, and smite him mortally, that he die, and flees into one of these cities, then the elders of the city shall send and fetch him thence there, and deliver him into the land of the avenger of blood, that he may die. Your eye shall not pity him, but you shall put away the guilt of innocent blood from Yasharel, that it may go well with you. You shall not remove your neighbor's landmark, which they of old time have set in your inheritance, which you shall inherit in the land that Yahweh Eloheka gives you to possess it. One witness shall not rise up against a man for any iniquity, or for any sin, in any sin that he sins, at the mouth of 2 witnesses, or at the mouth of 3 witnesses shall the matter be established. If a false witness rise up against any man to testify against him that which is wrong, then both the men between whom the controversy is shall stand before Yahweh, before the priests and the judges, which shall be in those days. And the judges shall make diligent inquisition, and behold, if the witnesses be a false witness, and testified falsely against his brother, then he shall do unto him as he thought to have been done to his brother. So shall you put the evil away from among you, and those which remain shall hear and fear, and shall henceforth commit no more any such evil among you. And your eye shall not pity, but life shall go for life, an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, a hand for a hand, and a foot for a foot. So here, once again, we have this thought of the one who brings witness is the executioner, and if he brings a false witness, he can himself be held accountable of the same ill of which he's accusing his brother of. So that's another measure of accountability right there. Don't bring false witness, because it might backfire, and then you land up in the same boat. So that is a deterrent against false witness. Anybody else got something to say about that chapter?
We can also see that in these cities of refuge, essentially when one was killed, it was the responsibility of the avenger of blood to make certain that murder was punished. It wasn't anyone else's responsibility. And, we can see the mercy of Yahweh in this, creating these cities of refuge, that he wanted a safe place for these people to reside, because ultimately they did not intend intentionally to murder. It was accidental or self-defense. So they weren't deserving of death, but of course they, had to kind of be cast out of their city almost as being unclean. But he did prepare ways and cities for them to reside. And really interesting, doing studies on the cities of refuge in previous portions, we find out that that is also part of the responsibility of the Leviim priest, was to build these roads, make sure that they were clear, there wasn't obstacles in the way, that there was signs and markers pointing that, clearly here are the cities of refuge. That way those people attempting to find them would have a fair shot of surviving. I think we can just see the wonderful mercy of Yahweh throughout that whole topic.
Yeah, that is amazing. Chapter 20. When you go out to battle against your enemies and see horses and chariots and a people more than you, be not afraid of them, for Yahweh Eloheka is with you, who brought you up out of the land of Mitzrayim. And it shall be, when you come nigh unto the battle, that the priest shall approach and speak unto the people, and shall say unto them, Hear, O Yasharel, ye approach this day unto battle against your enemies. Let not your hearts faint, fear not, and do not tremble, neither be ye terrified because of them. For Yahweh Elohim is he that goes with you to fight for you against your enemies, to save you. And the officers shall speak unto the people, saying, What man is there that has built a new house and has not dedicated it? Let him go and return to his house, and lest he die in the battle. And another man dedicated. What man is he that has planted a vineyard and has not eaten of it? Let him also go and return unto his house, lest he die in the battle, and another man eat of it. And what man is there that is betrothed a woman and has not taken her? Let him go and return to his house, lest he die in the battle, and another man take her. And the officers shall speak further unto the people, and they shall say, What man is there that is fearful and faint-hearted? Let him go and return unto his house, lest his brethren's heart faint as well as his heart. And it shall be, when the officers have made an end of speaking unto the people, that they shall make captains of the armies to lead the people. And when you come nigh to a city to fight against it, then proclaim peace unto it. And it shall be, if it make you an answer of peace, and open unto you, then it shall be that all the people that is found therein shall be tributaries unto you, and they shall serve you. And if it will make no peace with you, but will make war against you, then you shall besiege it. And when Yahweh Eloheka has delivered it unto your hands, and you shall smite, and every male thereof with the edge of the sword. But the woman and the little ones and the cattle, and all that is in the city, even all the spoil thereof, shall you take unto yourself, and you shall eat the spoil of your enemies, which Yahweh Eloheka has given you. Thus shall you do unto all the cities which are very far off from you, which are not of the cities of these nations. but of the cities of these people which Yahweh Eloheka gives you for inheritance. You shall save alive nothing that breathes, but you shall utterly destroy them, namely the Chittim, the Amorim, the Kenanim, the Perizim, and the Jevosim, and the Jevosim, as Yahweh Eloheka has commanded you, that they teach you not to do after all their abominations, which they have done unto their Elohim. So you should sin against Yahweh Eloheka. When you shall besiege a city a long time, in making war against it to take it, you shall not destroy the trees thereof by forcing an axe against them. For you may eat of them, and you shall not cut them down, for the tree of the field is a man's life, to employ them in the siege. Only the trees which you know that they be not trees for meat, shall you destroy and cut them down. And you shall build bulwarks against the city that makes war with you, until it be subdued. Now, isn't that a beautiful chapter, especially this beginning of this? You'll go into battle against your enemies, and do not be afraid of them. For Yahweh Eloheka is with you, which brought you up out of the land of Mitzrayim. Now, that is for today, isn't it? Don't be afraid of the masses. Don't be afraid of all these things that are, and the masses of things that are coming against us. But be comforted that Yah is with you. And he brought you out of bondage, right? Because Mitzrayim is bondage. So he will, and then verse 4, for Yahweh Elohim is he that goes with you to fight for you against your enemies to save you. Well, if we have Yahweh, if Yahweh is for us, then who can be against us? And I think that's, the Besorah equivalent is Yah is fighting for us. So why should we be afraid? And I think this comes back all the time to the same ruach and thought that Yahusha and Kalev had. Joshua and Caleb. They were not fearful. They did not look to the others for their strength, because they knew that their strength came from Yah. And I think we must, as much as possible, we've got to believe and grab onto everything that we have by the grace that has been given us, to hold on to the promise that Yah is fighting for us. And do not be fearful of man who might kill the body, but be fearful of the Yah who can kill the soul. I think that's an important point to hold on to.
And to remember that Yahweh has already won the war against good and evil. He is victorious. And all we need to do is continue to push forward and endure, knowing that our salvation is through him. No matter what comes our way on this earth, the physical, like you were saying, don't worry about losing your life physically, but worry about losing your soul spiritually. That's ultimately what's important.
Amen. 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 Okay, chapter 21. If one be found slain in the land which Yahweh Eloheka gives you to possess it, lying in the field, and it not being known whom has slain him, then your elders and your judges shall come forth, and they shall measure unto the cities which are round about him that is slain. And it shall be that the city which is next to the slain man even the elders of that city shall take a heifer which had not been wrought with, nor which has been drawn in the yoke. And the elders of that city shall bring down that heifer unto a rough valley, which is neither eared nor sown, and shall strike off the heifer's neck there in the valley. And the priests and the sons of Levi shall come near, for them Yahweh Eloheka has chosen to minister unto him, and to bless in the name of Yahweh. And by their word shall every controversy and every stroke be tried. And all the elders of that city that are next to the slain man shall wash their hands over the heifer that is beheaded in the valley, that they shall answer and say, Our hands have not shed this blood, neither have our eyes seen it. Be merciful, O Yahweh, unto your people Yasharel, whom you have redeemed, and lay not innocent blood unto your people of Yasharel's charge, and the blood shall be forgiven them. So shall you put away the guilt of the innocent blood from among you, when you shall do that which is right in the sight of Yahweh. And that brings us to the end of this Torah portion in Deuteronomy. Isn't that also interesting? You know, that you shall put away the guilt of innocent blood from among you, when you shall do that which is right in the sight of Yahweh. I think that's also exactly what is said to us today. If we do what is right in the sight of Yahweh, then our guilt has been taken away, innocent or not, but we must remain in him, and to remain in him is to do his commandments. I think, you know, when James, when you were talking about the gifts and perverting the words of righteousness, what also came up in my mind was once again the story of manipulation, and even manipulation of words and of actions by us, even by us to our loved ones, to get our own way, or even by our words in workplaces, in society, to gain favor. It might not be a lie, but it is a lie of the heart, maybe. And the intents of the heart are actually shadowed by your manipulation. And so, you know, is that easy to deal with? No, that's not easy to deal with. It's a very difficult thing for us to deal with even our own thoughts and our own manipulative ways. It's a constant, how can I say, fight of truth against the flesh. It's a battle that we constantly battling to be truthful or righteous. And now we know that, thank Yah, that his righteousness is now become our righteousness. But the intents of our hearts, we really have to search at all times, because they are so subtle, and it's so easy for that subtleness to creep in and to turn your good thoughts into evil thoughts. Because I think that, you know, even us, when we are left to our own devices, we can very easily become the adulterer, or the murderer, or the thief. It's really that battle that we're constantly in, that we have to grasp onto the hem, if you like, of Mashiach all the time, to try and overcome these shortfalls of the flesh.
It really is, the curiosity is what's leading people astray. And that's why we see Yahweh over and over, telling his people, do not go after these false Elohim, because, there is power, within these practices. We're not denying that. That's why a lot of people have chosen that way, is because they have found power and, like you said, manipulation. There's so many forms of witchcraft, and it's that curiosity, growing up as a kid, being told not to do that just makes you want to kind of do it even more, or trying to teach your children that lesson. So it's the same principle. They were told not to go after these other Elohim. So did that in fact cause them to have more curiosity and want to go after them? And we have to be careful not to fall into that trap today. Witchcraft may not, involve a scary witch with a long green nose and a pointy hat. That's scary, but it's been, like I said, camouflaged, and it's been made to look like it's for the good, it's for the healing. It's of the creation. Of course Yahweh created everything, but man has turned it for evil. And then you add in the fallen watchers that came down and taught a lot of these practices to man. Men weren't supposed to know this. They weren't supposed to have that kind of knowledge, even if it's, reading the future in the stars and all these other types of practices that we read through, not to have a part of that, because it's not Yahweh's plan for man.
Yeah, Melissa actually mentioned a lovely thing today in our reading. The fact that the 10 commandments, or the 10 Devarim, are thou shalt not, and the same thing came up with a child. Like, you tell the child not to do something, and their heart seems to want to try to do that thing that you asked them not to do. But a funny thing, that when Yahushua comes along, he tells you what to do and not what not to do. So even with the woman that was caught in adultery, he says, go and sin no more. It doesn't say do not commit adultery or don't go and break wedlock. He says just go and sin no more. And even in Matthew 5, where it says, you have heard from the people of old that you shall not do this, but I say to you, if you do this and this and this, you are of the same thing. So he's not bringing that do not do that. He's just showing you the right and the wrong. So whether there's something in that or not, it doesn't matter really. But it is a good thought to think about. So our half Torah reading is from Isaiah 51 and verse 12. So James?
Just a quick thought on what you were just speaking on. I think that's a great word to have, and it could very well change how our words or our message is received by others. Let's not necessarily condemn somebody by saying, don't do that, you're doing it wrong. But let's approach it the opposite, just like our Messiah said, and reach out to them and say, do it this way. The words, the difference of a word can have a huge impact. And so I'm glad you brought that up, because that is something that I'm going to work on applying to my life. Because when you say do not, you're almost condemning them, you're judging them in a way. But if you show them the higher path, do it this way, do it in love, whatever it may be. They may receive that a little more gently and less offensive. Thank you for sharing that. Go ahead, Judy.
Yeah, I would just like to add that I would make it more personal, as in this is what I would do, or this is how I do this, and just kind of be more of an example. Anyway, I just wanted to add that.
All right, thank you. So we're going to read Isaiah 51, starting in verse 12 through 52:12. I, even I, am he that comforts you. Who are you that you should be afraid of a man that shall die, and of the son of Adam, which shall be made as grass? And forget Yahweh Aseka, that has stretched forth the heavens and laid the foundations of the earth, and have feared continually every day because of the fury of the oppressor, as if he were ready to destroy. And where is the fury of the oppressor? The captive exile hastens that he may be loosed, and that he should not die in the pit, nor that his bread should fail. But I am Yahweh Elaheka, that divided the sea, whose waves roared. Yahweh Sebaoth is his name. And I have put my words in your mouth, and I have covered you in the shadow of my hand, that I may plant the heavens and lay the foundations of the earth, and say unto Zion, you are my people. Awake, awake, stand up, O Jerusalem, which have drunk at the hand of Yahweh the cup of his fury. You have drunken the dredge of the cup of trembling, and wrung them out. There is none to guide her among all the sons whom she has brought forth. Neither is there any that takes her by the hand of all the sons that she has brought up. These two things are come unto you, who shall be sorry for you: desolation and destruction, and the famine and the sword. By whom shall I comfort you? Your sons have fainted. They lie at the head of all the streets, as a wild bull in a net. They are full of the fury of Yahweh, and rebuke of your Elohim. Therefore hear now this, you afflicted and drunken, but not with wine. Thus says your Adonai Yahweh, and your Elohim, that pleads the cause of his people. Behold, I have taken out of your hand the cup of trembling, even the dregs of the cup of my fury. You shall no more drink it again, but I will put it into the hand of them that afflict you, which have said to your soul, bow down, that we may go over. And you have laid your body as the ground, and as the street, to them that went over. Chapter 52. Awake, awake, put on your strength, O Zion. Put on your beautiful garments, O Jerusalem, the holy city. For henceforth there shall no more come into you the uncircumcised and the unclean. Shake yourself from the dust. Arise and sit down, O Jerusalem. Loose yourself from the bands of your neck, O captive daughter of Zion. For thus says Yahweh, ye have sold yourselves for naught, and ye shall be redeemed without money. For thus says Adonai Yahweh, my people went down aforetime into Mitzrayim to sojourn there, and Ashur oppressed them without cause. Now therefore, what have I here, says Yahweh, that my people is taken away for naught? They that rule over them make them to howl, says Yahweh, and my name continually every day is blasphemed. Therefore my people shall know my name. Therefore they shall know in that day that I am he that speaks. Behold, it is I. How beautiful upon the mountains are the feet of him that brings the Besorah, that publishes peace, that brings good news of good, that publishes Yeshua, that says unto Zion, your Elohim reigns. Your watchmen shall lift up the voice. With the voice together they shall sing. For they shall see eye to eye, when Yahweh shall bring again Zion. Break forth into joy, sing together, ye waste places of Jerusalem, for Yahweh has comforted his people. He has redeemed Jerusalem. Yahweh has made bare his holy arm in the eyes of all the nations, and all the ends of the earth shall see the Yeshua of our Elohim. Depart ye, go ye out from hence. Touch no unclean thing. Go ye out of the midst of her. Be ye clean, that bear the vessels of Yahweh. For ye shall not go out with haste, nor go by flight. For Yahweh will go before you, and the Elohai of Yasharel will be your rearward. Very powerful scripture. Once again, Isaiah foreshadowing our coming king, and warning us not to drink the cup of abomination, of sin that people have become drunk off of. It's not just the wine that gets you drunk, it's the abominations, the wickedness that has led people astray, that ultimately has made them unclean. Right here in verse 11, be ye clean, that bear the vessels of Yahweh. If we want to be of Yahweh, our vessel has to be clean. We can't be polluting it with the wickedness. One drop of poison in a glass of water will ruin the whole batch. And that's essentially all it takes. We have to make sure we are abstaining from any wickedness, even if it's not being participated in. Just listening or watching something can be all it takes to dirty our vessel.
Yeah, see this verse 15. But I am Yahweh Eloheka that divided the sea, whose waves roared. Yahweh Tsevaot is his name. And it carries on. I have put my words in your mouth, and I have covered you in the shadow of my hand, that I may plant heavens and lay the foundations of the earth, and say unto Zion, you are my people. That reminded me very much of Proverbs verse 30 verse 4, which says, who has ascended into heaven and who has descended, who has gathered the wind and in his fists, who has bound the waters in a garment, who has established the ends of the earth, what is his name and what is his son's name, if you can tell. Well, there we have it. Who is the one who made the heavens and the earth? What is his name and what is his son's name? And I think this is the point that he's making here. He says, I have covered you in the shadow of my hand, that I may plant the heavens and lay the foundations of the earth. Well, there we have it. Before the world was, he was. Yahusha was. So it's a beautiful thing there, that nothing is made that he doesn't know about, that is made. Yeah. And then obviously the next verse, awake, awake, stand up, O Yerushalayim. The new Jerusalem is standing up, the one that is in him, right? And we must be part of that, to stand in that, to have the fruit grown in us that will enable us to stand. I think that's quite important.
Yeah, we know the word stand can very well be used as the same as to guard the commandments, to stand for his word, to not let it be forsaken, forgotten, or really just mocked, in this day that we live in. Not that it's ever been any different, but we see the forsaking of the word, and we have to stand up for it, even if we don't fit in, even if we don't belong in the groups that we try to be a part of. Maybe that's a sign that we don't belong there. If we are standing for his word and his truth and we don't fit in, then that place isn't for us.
Amen. And then I think if we go back to the conversation we had about the churches, well, over here in 52, 5, 6, and 7, verse 5 says, "Now therefore, what have I here, says Yahweh, that my people is taken away for naught, that they rule over them and make them to howl, says Yahweh. And my name is continually every day is blasphemed. Therefore my people shall know my name. Therefore they shall know in that day that I am he that speaks. Behold, it is I. How beautiful upon the mountains are the feet of them that brings the Besorah, that publishes peace, and that brings good news of good, that publishes Yeshua, that says unto Zion, your Elohim reigns." Yeah, there again we have the name, right? The name that is known by those that love him and that are called by him. And so every day his name is blasphemed. Well, if you bring the name to naught, you're actually blaspheming the name. So what is the name? And are you having the liberty to use that name? And has that been given to you via the searchings of your heart or via the studying of your brain? Because those are two different things. It's good to search it out. It's good to study and search out, but it's a blessing to have, when you find it, that it is a treasure within your heart. I think there's a difference there. There's a difference of head knowledge and heart knowledge. So I think that's quite important.
When I read that verse, that his name is continually blasphemed every day, I think of two things. Is it the twisting of his name? Is it the names that he is called, not his true name as Yahweh, Yod-He Vav-He, that we know to be his true name? Or could it be that many proclaim to love him, but are not doing his commandments?
Right.
They are considered a liar, and the truth is not in them. They're offering up lip service, and that's about it.
Yeah. And that's just as blasphemous. That's an act, right? It's an act. It's a just as love is an act, just as love is a doing word, so is blasphemy. Even to be doing nothing could be a blasphemy. It's a deep, it's the deeper thoughts of the heart, right? Good. So if there's nothing more, then we can continue to the Besorah, or the Gospel of Matthew. And it is from chapter 26 and verse 47 to 27:10. So if you like, I'll take the 26, and James can take from 27. All right. So verse 27. And while he yet spoke, lo, Yehuda, one of the 12, came with him. Came, and with him a great multitude with swords and staves from the chief priests and the elders of the people. Now, he that betrayed him gave them a sign, saying, Whomsoever I shall kiss, that same is he, hold him fast. And forthwith he came to Yahusha and said, Hail, Master, and kissed him. And Yahusha said unto him, Friend, wherefore are you come? Then came they and laid their hands on Yahusha and took him. And behold, one of them which were with Yahusha stretched out his hand, and drew his sword, and struck the servant of the high priests, and smote off his ear. Then Yahusha said unto him, Put up again your sword into his place. For all they that take the sword shall perish with the sword. Think you that I cannot now pray to my Father, and he shall presently give me more than 12 legions of angels? But how then shall the scriptures be fulfilled, that thus it must be? In that same hour said Yahusha unto the multitudes, Are ye come out as against a thief with swords and staves, for to take me? I sat daily with you, teaching in the temple, and he laid no hold on me. But all this was done, that the scriptures of the prophets might be fulfilled. Then all the Talmudim forsook him and fled. And they that laid hold on Yahusha led him away to Aquepa, the high priest, where the scribes and the elders were assembled. But Kepha followed him afar off unto the high priest's palace, and went in and sat with the servants to see the end. Now the chief priests and the elders and all the council sought false witness against Yahusha, and to put him to death, but found none. Yea, though many false witnesses came, yet found they none. At the last came two false witnesses, and said, This fellow said, I am able to destroy the temple of Yahweh, and to build it in 3 days. And the high priests arose and said unto him, And answer you nothing? What is it which these witness against you? But Yahusha held his peace, and the high priest answered and said unto him, I adjure you by the living El, that you tell us whether you be Hamashiach, the son of Elohim. And Yahusha said unto him, You have said. Nevertheless, I say unto you, hereafter he shall see the Son of Adam sitting in the right hand of power, and coming in the clouds of heaven. Then the high priest rent his clothes, saying, He has spoken blasphemy. What further need have we of witnesses? Behold, now we have heard his blasphemy. What do ye think? And they answered and they said, He is guilty of death. Then did they spit in his face and buffeted him, and others smote him with the palms of their hands, saying, Prophesy unto us, Mashiach, who is he that smote you? Now Kepha sat in the palace, and a damsel came unto him, saying, You also were with Yahusha of Galilee. But he denied before them all, saying, I know not what you say. And when he was gone out into the porch, another maid saw him and said unto him that were there, his fellow was also with Yahusha the Netzari. And again he denied with an oath, I do not know the man. And after a while came unto him that stood by and said unto Kepha, surely you are one of them, for your speech beways you. Then began he to curse and to swear, saying, I know not the man. And immediately the cock crew. And Kepha remembered the word of Yahusha, which said unto him, before the cock crow, that you shall deny me thrice. And he went out and he wept bitterly. Yeah.
Interesting that we read in Isaiah how the Father's name being blasphemed every day. And yet we see here that is ultimately what sentenced Yahusha to death, was the blaspheme that he had spoken according to man, proclaiming to be the Son of God, the Son of Elohim, living the most perfect example of the commandments, what we're commanded to do. And yet they considered that blaspheme. Just interesting that we see that connected in these two portions here.
Well, it's also interesting that we read about the false witnesses, right? And what happened to these false witnesses? Because they were witnessing against someone, but yet nothing was found against him. So makes you wonder what set of rules these Pharisees and judges were going by. Because if you are witnessing against somebody falsely, then you are supposed to receive the same sentence if you found incorrect. So I'm just wondering,
Right, we'll continue on in 27. When the morning was come, all the chief priests and elders of the people took counsel against Yahusha to put him to death. And when they had bound him, they led him away and delivered him to Pontius Pilate, the governor. Then Yehuda, which had betrayed him, when he saw that he was condemned, repented himself and brought again the 30 pieces of silver to the chief priests and elders, saying, I have sinned in that I have betrayed the innocent blood. And they said, what is that to us? See you to that. And he cast down the pieces of silver in the temple and departed and went and hanged himself. And the chief priest took the silver pieces and said, it is not lawful for to put them into the treasury, because it is the price of blood. And they took counsel and bought with them the potter's field to bury strangers in. Wherefore that field was called the field of blood unto this day. Then was fulfilled that which was spoken by Zechariah the prophet, saying, and they took the 30 pieces of silver, the price was valued, whom they of the children of Yasharel did value, and gave them for the potter's field, as Yahweh commanded me. Seeing all various forms of prophecy being fulfilled by the very act of the crucifixion. And we can see that from the beginning of creation, this was Yahweh's plan. He knew the beginning and the end. He is the beginning and the end. So he knew that this was ultimately what it was going to take to save his people.
Yeah. Well, here we see in Zechariah 11, as you're talking about, and verse 12, and I said unto them, if ye think good, give me my price, and if not, forbear. So they weighed for my price 30 pieces of silver. And Yahweh said unto me, cast it into the potter, a goodly price, that I was prized at of them. And I took 30 pieces of silver and cast them to the potter in the house of Yahweh. Isn't that amazing? That comes true even to the potter, the potter's field, right? So interesting. Well, and so we conclude the reading for this Sabbath portion. Yeah, I don't know if there's anybody that would like to add, give a comment.
I kind of wonder if there's a connection between the potter's field and the cities of refuge. You know, they were both, you know, kind of for strangers. Of course, they called the field of blood. I want to do a little more digging into that, but I feel like I can kind of see a connection here a little bit between the two.
Yeah. Well, if you look at that piece of field, and it was the potter's field, the broken pots that were thrown there, and if you look at to see what the city of refuge was actually a place where broken people could find refuge to live out their time. You know, if you think about it, that family is missing somebody in it. So there's a whole lot of brokenness around that. But then again, the family who has lost a member by the in this example, the axe head that is broken off or slips off the stave, well, they're also broken. So, you know, and then we can probably take it to ourselves that aren't we all broken, right? Beautiful example is obviously is all of us that actually are here. We've all got our own testimonies, and Yah takes us and heals us in a way that that He gives us His righteousness. So yeah, it's you know, I was just thinking of Andrea's book that she's narrating on Lee's show, James, on the Fiery Faith ministry, and it's just like really something that when you take your own life and even put it into words, are we going to be that truthful to it? You know, are we going to be that open? It takes a lot of courage to be that open and to think that deeply about who we actually are. So it is truly amazing that Yah does that for each one of us, that He gives us a second chance, that He gives us a chance to live and choose life instead of, which He did anyway to the Israelites. He did that as well. He always gave them a second chance. So that's interesting. Catherine?
Yes, I wanted to share about the verse where Keva denied Yahusha. In Luke, it says, at that very last time, Yahusha turned and looked at him. So Keva actually saw Yahusha standing there beaten. And imagine how devastated he was. he went out and cried so terribly. When I read that verse, it just made me cry, thinking that Kepha actually saw him and Yahushua. And yet our Savior forgave him.
Yeah. And isn't that maybe a reflection of all of our lives, Catherine? You know, I mean, we even if we're walking in the way and we're trying best to do the right thing, the manipulations that we were talking about, the subtleties of sin. There's so many examples that creep into our lives, and then we get that glimpse of forgiveness, you know, and repentance, which leads to forgiveness. And you know, haven't we all received that beautiful gift, right? It's truly amazing. And it's a daily task. It's a daily task for us to go through the forgiveness and the repentance, or repentance and the forgiveness. So yeah.
Yeah, I think that's the beautiful symbolism with the cities of refuge is Yahusha is our city of refuge. You know, we are all guilty of sin of some kind. We deserve to be thrown in there. And yes, many of them probably did perish in the city. But of course, we know that once the priests died, they were freed. They were given freedom. Yeah. So same with our Messiah. When he sacrificed himself, we were freed from our bondage of sin.
Hallelujah. Well, let us pray, and then we will say shalom. Father, we just thank you so much for the word. We thank you for your discussion. We thank you, Father, for your love that brings people throughout the whole world together on a day like this, on a Sabbath day. Hallelujah. We praise your name. We give you the glory and the honor. We thank you for this time. And we thank you so much for your word that you have given us. May we go in peace. May we go in the restfulness of being protected by you. We thank you, Father, for the covenant that you've given us, the bond of peace between us. And we thank you, Father, that you give us the Ruach Elohim, which teaches us into all righteousness and truth. So we thank you, Father, and we bless your name. In the name of Yahushua HaMashiach. Amen. And we will say Shabbat Shalom. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you
you.
so much.
Shabbat
And thank you,
shalom.
James. Thank you, both of you.
Thank you, all of you.
Thank
Hallelujah.
you for reading it.